Good evening and welcome to this special Island Stat Sports Talk. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me is Garen Wilkinson, the president of Bermuda Shou. Last week, Garen, we had on the organizers for the first half of I want to get this right, Senji Rai Shai?
Zenji Liu Shiai.
Shai, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. We had the organizers of the first half of that event that is set to take place on Sunday
Sunday, yep, this
inside
coming
of the
Sunday.
Institute Gymnasium. And now we're going to talk about the second half of the program because it's an all-day a program.
Yep.
And obviously the second half of the program will see Senshao taking
Yep.
to the platform. Tell us a little bit about just that, the Senshao part of this.
Sure.
What I would consider extravaganza, because people will get all forms of martial arts at this one day inside Whitney Institute.
Yeah, yes, they will. So the Bermuda Central Association is the sanctioning body for the second half of the Zenji Ryu Shiai, which will feature Chinese martial arts, aka Wushu.
Mhm.
So we will have Wushu Taolu, which is forms, and it will consist of open hand form as well as weapons, and Senshao, which is with the competitive element of Senshao Noko Sanda, and it will also um, consist of Sanda. So we have Taolu and we'll have Sanda. We have a number of our junior Taolu athletes who are part of our junior program at every sports center. A lot of people may remember we brought Adriano Lorenzo de Silva from Brazil, who's been a couple of years now. He helped to launch our Wushu Taolu program, and the whole reason we started that program was because of Wushu's inclusion in the Youth Olympics,
Mhm.
which was initially scheduled for 2022 and was postponed out to 2026, of which one of our star athletes, Aaron Can, has been in training over the last couple of years, and of course has made a name for herself with her actually winning a medal at the Pan American Wushu Championships last year in Brazil. So we're actually going to be featuring. It looks like just looking at the registration, six of our young Talu athletes is actually an improvement over last year's entries for the novice. We had four novice, and of course, the program was still in its very infant stages last year. They didn't even have proper uniforms in terms of like pants and shoes. So we expect the athletes to be, fully uniformed this year. And although the routine that they will be performing is the same, we do expect an improvement in their performance.
Mhm.
We also have the likes of our seasoned elite athletes that form part of the national kung fu team, and Kaylin Cox, as well as Talia Iris. Kaylin and Talia went head to head in a really, really tight battle for the grand championship last year, and we're looking forward to seeing them battle it out again. Unfortunately, Kent Bean Jr. is actually off island. He is one of the other members of the national kung fu team, which also includes myself. Unfortunately, he will not be available, but we are looking forward to seeing Kaylin and Talia. And then on the Sunda side, that's going to be take up most of the afternoon. We have a number of Sunda matches from athletes ages 5 all the way to over 40. So we
Okay.
have a few masters athletes in there as well. Obviously, our Sunda program has been up and running since 2005. We're one of the strongest countries in our region. We're a force on the world stage. So we're looking forward to having our athletes, and it's mostly, although it's an open invitation, we're the only gym in Bermuda that practices Sunda, right? Obviously, for the fight nights, we go up against some of the other Muay Thai schools here in what they call hybrid rules, so maybe K1 rules or Glory rules, but this is pure Sunda. We will be using the shuttle cup mats, but they do have a border, just like the border would have on the lay tie or the raised platform. Push off rules will be in full effect. So this will be full Sunda rules, with the youth athletes having 90-minute rounds. Sorry, 90-second rounds.
Yeah, just great.
Yeah, 90
Next week Sunday.
that's like boxing back in the day, them 70 rounds. But yeah, 90-second rounds of minute rest recovery, with the adults having 2-minute rounds with 1-minute recovery. Now, what differentiates Sunda from a lot of other sort of contact sports is that um, it's best 2 out of 3 rounds. So
Mm,
if an athlete wins 2 consecutive rounds, they will win the match.
mhm,
For the youth athletes, there's no consecutive hits to the head. All right,
mhm,
for athletes, I have to refer back to my rules for it, but I think it's yes. For the athletes under 11, there's no head contact. So 11 and under, there's no contact, only contact to the body. For the age groups of 12 to 14 and 15 to 17, they are allowed to hit in the head, but not consecutively. So, just as an
mhm,
example, if you jab the head, you do a cross, it has to be to the body, and you can come back up to the head with a hook.
mhm,
But, to avoid or to try to eliminate as much sort of head trauma as possible. They don't
mhm.
allow consecutive headshots. It's just where you see those sort of injuries coming in. So
Let me
look. Yep.
can I ask you a question?
Sure, sure.
Are kicks to the head legal or not?
Kicks to the head for the youth divisions are not allowed.
Okay.
All right. For the adults, it's all in.
Yeah, yeah,
Right? It's everything goes.
right.
And yeah, everything goes in training as well. And yes, we do have knockouts in training at times. And as I tell our athletes, we'd rather have it happen in training than in competition. So
Sure, sure.
that's how it goes. So
Get used to
yeah.
missing a few minutes of the night.
Yeah, exactly. So we're looking forward to it. We have another big year coming up for BSA. One of our athletes, Kellen Toet, just won a Bermuda government Junior Achievement Award over the weekend after having an outstanding 2022. There's a lot in the pipeline for him this year, starting with the WKA World Championships in June.
Mhm,
But our focus is going to be on the World Wushu Championships. So we haven't had a World Wushu Championship since Bermuda last participated in 2019 in Shanghai. So we're
mm,
looking forward to getting back to the World Championships, which will be held later this year in Dallas in November. And before that, we have the Pan American Kung Fu Championships, the fourth iteration of it, which will be happening in Toronto this summer. Actually, Cup match weekend. Um, so this tournament is actually a prerequisite to take part in that tournament. Now, the tournament it's the Pan American Kung Fu Championship, which would on the national level will feature the national Kung Fu team.
mhm.
The Canada has opened the competition to include an invitational Sunday event,
Oh, okay.
and also an invitational modern Wushu Talu event. So we will be taking a very large team to this event, including youth athletes. One because it's close, it's in our region, it's a quick hop. And because we just haven't been able to compete overseas for such a long time, we want to give some of our, particularly our youth athletes, a chance to see some of our elite athletes in competition, travel together, train together, to get an idea of what's to come.
Mm,
We took a couple of junior teams to Barbados a few years back to some invitationals. Obviously, through COVID, there hasn't been much travel. In fact, BSA only started traveling last year to international competitions. So we thought this would be a great opportunity because it's very seldom we actually get to travel with an entire team, which
mhm,
includes traditional kung fu as well as our modern wushu team that consists of Sanda and Taolu. So
mhm.
it's going to be the first, and I want to say in history that we'll be traveling with a full wushu team. So that's coming up this summer in August, and we're looking forward to it. So this event, if you want to compete, particularly for the Sunda athletes for the first time, they will have to compete this coming weekend.
I was just going to say, how does one qualify? So this weekend is really important for them to compete. Is it that they must win, or is it just compete? How
Well,
are you feeling?
they don't necessarily have to win. At the end of the day, as the head of the program, I have to make a decision on safety, right? Because I only really coach the adult team, it's going to give some of the officials a chance to really assess some of the junior athletes to see whether they're actually ready for international competition. I know a lot of the parents were worried when we said the Pan American Championship, like, oh my gracious, a regional championship. They've never competed with the understanding that this is an invitational event, and
Mm,
I work very closely with the organizers, very closely with the other coaches that are taking part in the invitational to ensure that one, our matches are safe, that is of
mm,
utmost importance, and that they're fair and competitive, right? We don't want to have a junior athlete who's 12 years old had 20 fights against somebody that's never been on a lay tie before,
right.
right? So, the intent of the event for the athletes that's part of the invitation, it's just more exposure, seeing how some of our elite athletes prepare for competition, seeing how we conduct ourselves at competition, so that when they do move on to the actual Pan American Championship for modern wushu, that they're ready. So the U.S. has actually been awarded the next Pan American Championships, which will take place in California next year. You would remember that Brazil hosted the last Pan American Wushu Championships in 2022. So we're looking forward to having a competitive team in next year's actual Pan American Wushu Championship. So this would be a nice sort of prerequisite to that.
Sure. Now, for this weekend coming up,
Mm-hmm.
for the layman, I know you'll probably have a lot of people that are into the martial arts come and watch. But if you get that odd occasion, that person that is just interested in wanting to come out and watch something different, explain the scoring for me when it comes to these events.
Sure. So I did have an opportunity to listen to the interviews from the first half of the competition, which is going to be on karate.
Hmm.
So for the forms, the talu. Now, when we came up, karate was scored very similar to the way gymnastics is scoring, which you do complete your routine and you get a score.
Hmm.
Nowadays, karate uses the versus format, red versus blue, and the individual that has the best form at the end of the competition, the flags are raised either red or blue in their
Hmm.
favor.
Hmm.
Um, Modern wushu and traditional kung fu has always maintained the scoring format. So we have specific criteria for scoring of the forms. For the novice division, there's 6 to 8. The scores are range from 6 to 8, and there's specific criteria that's given to the judges to help them guide what their score is.
Hmm.
For intermediates, the scoring range is from 8 to 9, and for advanced, the scoring range is from 8 to 10. Right, so
Hmm.
you would see some of the more advanced fighters get scores in the range of 9.5, 9.6, maybe some of the really good ones saying about 9.8.
Hmm.
I don't believe in tens, right? Nobody's perfect. Sometimes I see these collegiate gymnasts and they get
Yeah,
tens, and I'm
yeah.
like, well, was it really a 10? Like, right. So that's the general scoring for the Taolu. Now for Sanda, um, now in our sport, which is different from kickboxing because the ring is an open ring, it doesn't have any ropes.
Hmm.
Push offs are very important in our sport. So if you push your opponent off of the platform, or in this case outside of the ring, you get
Hmm.
2 points.
Okay.
All right. If you do that twice in a round, you actually win the round. The round could be 10 seconds long. If you push your opponent off, that particular round is over. Not the fight, but that round, and that individual will win the round.
Mm.
Push offs are important. Takedowns. Now, strikes are very subjective, right? And in Sunda, when you strike your opponent, it can't be like in point sparring where it just touches them. It has to actually have some force behind it. We wear
Okay.
chest protectors. If you're hitting your chest protector, you should hear a solid hit against the chest protector. All right. Now, the reason takedowns are so important is because a takedown's a takedown.
Right.
The judge doesn't have to question himself, was that a really significant strike or not. If you take your opponent down, it's cut and dry. It's obvious, right? So if
Mhm.
you take your opponent down and you stay standing, you remain on your feet, you get 2 points. If you take your opponent down, they end up pulling you down with them, but you land on top of them, it's 1 point. So your smartest or your clever techniques, we call them, are techniques that allow you to stay on your feet,
Staying on your feet. Mhm.
right? So, and then for strikes, you get 1 point for a kick to the outside or inside of the leg, and you have to hear the kick. It just can't be a brush.
Right.
Another way we differentiate our sport is that kicks to the legs have to be with the instep. You
Yeah.
cannot use your shin. You can use your shin in that it actually creates damage and it wears down your opponent, but you actually don't score. The shin doesn't
Mhm.
really get that smack noise that you need
Mhm.
to get a point. Same thing with kicks to the body. There are 2 points, and you actually want to hear that instep for round kicks or
Mhm.
for side kicks and linear kicks, either the side of your foot or the ball of your foot hit
Mhm.
against that chest protector. So that's 2 points. Kicks to the head are also 2 points. Um, Speak about the throws and takedowns, but this is full contact. So there are standing eight count rules. You will get a standing eight if you get dropped. And knockout is the ultimate way to victory. So
Mhm.
it's full contact. So there is knockouts.
So let me ask you, if someone goes to kick my leg,
Hmm.
am I only allowed to block it with my hand or arm, or can I raise my knee and block it with my shin?
You can block it. That's what we will call a check. You can check
Uh-huh.
it. My preferred technique would to be do a switch counter. Actually, avoid that kick and then kick
Oh,
and
okay.
counter with the same kick.
Right.
Another smart technique is to actually catch it and
Yeah. Oh, right.
execute a takedown. So
Hmm.
there's a number of ways to counter, um, any kick, right? And one thing you have to remember: every time you throw a technique, you're making yourself susceptible to a counter
Right.
because
Right.
some part of your body is open,
Good.
right? And
Yeah.
that's what we train. And the more years you've been in training, the more you're able to exploit those openings.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
So, what is the schedule for
Yes.
Sunday? Are we starting with the youngsters? Or are we starting with
Yeah.
because in the morning, in the karate, they are starting with the black belts, just so that the young people get a chance to see what they're working towards. So, are you kind of doing the same thing?
So just to be clear, so the karate portion of the event is scheduled to finish at 1:45 p.m.
Hmm.
The wushu portion of the event is scheduled to commence at 2:30 p.m. sharp,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We do intend to start with the black belts, as Master Edmund mentioned. It does help to sort of set the bar once they see the likes of Kayla and Talia performing. It gives them an idea of, and also it's a lot of them's first time, so it
Hmm.
does help with like ring etiquette. It's like, oh, okay, that's where you stand. It is obviously they've been doing it for a number of years.
Hmm.
So we do try to put the black belts first. In fighting this, so last year we only did single matchups. This
Hmm.
year we are trying to make it a competitive tournament based on age groups.
Hmm.
For us right now, it's very difficult for us to stick very strictly to our weight categories, but we
Yeah.
are trying to stick to age and experience level. But we are, this year going to make it a tournament. So some divisions may have as many as five or six competitors in them, and
Hmm.
there will be, have to fight multiple rounds to win. So, we're going to be out there for a few hours. It's going to go, into the early evening, but it's going to
Hmm.
be, an exciting afternoon. The athletes have worked really hard. It's a lot of it's a friendly rivalry because the
Hmm.
majority of the bouts are in-house competition. But it
Yeah.
is, a lot of bragging rights that come with it, and also just a chance to, for the athletes to test themselves in front of the family and friends,
Hmm.
and obviously, give us the officials a look. in preparation for the competition in Canada later this summer.
Sure. One of the things, it's going to be a long day for officials as well because they will serve as dual officials one day. Some of them, not all of them, but
So,
some of
some of them will, but years ago when they made the sort of real, I guess, split between Japanese arts, i.e., karate and wushu, the officials. So I actually have my own set of officials
them. Hmm.
that all have Chinese martial arts base, so that are experienced in wushu, have either competed or judged in wushu for a number of years. So actually, yeah, there's no judges this time around that's actually going to be involved in both. Or it's going to be a
Oh,
separate, yeah.
okay. All right. Well, that's a relief for them. I mean, to be there. I mean, they'll
Yeah,
probably be there watching somewhat of either one, and when they're finished their job or when they're getting ready to do their job, they'll be watching the other. But overall, you said one division would have up to five. How many altogether
yeah.
for?
So we have approximately 30 athletes registered in the wushu portion of the event, um,
Oh,
which is which is a good number, which is a really good number. I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing particularly our teens, the way
mhm,
the training is broken up. We have a 5 to 10 class, we have
right.
an 11 to 15 class, and then 16 and up is in the adult class. Just as an example, so Callan Todd, who's now one of our world champions, transitioned to the adult class when he was 14. So we
Mm,
do have a number of the more advanced ones in the teen class that
mhm,
now are trained with the adults and spar with the adults on a regular basis. And those are the ones that's really competing for spots at next year's Pan American Wushu Championships.
mm,
So I'm really looking forward to particularly seeing the teens. But last year, some of the most competitive matches actually came in some of the younger age groups. And
mm,
because I don't actually have the opportunity to be there for a lot of the youth classes, I was very, very impressed with the level of competition. So just to speak about some of our coaches. So for Sunda 5 to 10, we have Dirk Evelyn. He's the main coach for that youth group. We have Cyril Witter the third, who's the owner of our home and Aries Sports Center,
mhm,
coaches the teen class. I coach the adults, and then on the forms wushu side, we have Jacoa Barrows and Kaylin Cox who serve as our coaches. So, very seasoned coaches. We all follow the same curriculum. Cyril is one of our top fighters, so I would see a video of the teen class. They'll be doing exactly what we had covered in the adult class,
mhm.
the day before. So, we try to keep the curriculum tight. All of our preparation is typically together. Um, so yeah, looking forward to it, and
Yeah.
we're hoping to be able to feature Sunda a bit more. Obviously, we had the Aries Fighting Championships back in 2019, which was an amazing event. We
Mhm.
had a lot of our friends from overseas done to compete. So now that we're seeing the backs of COVID a bit, we're hoping to be able to host those types of events again.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
under that tent was a well organized event.
Yeah, it was fantastic just to see, that late eye and set up. It was the
Mhm.
only competition we've actually had on it, and you certainly would like to utilize it a lot more. Mhm.
Sure. So we're looking forward to a full day of, well, I'll call it martial arts. You guys would probably call it something different,
Yep,
but
nope, it's all martial arts.
right. Okay.
Yeah.
Full day of martial arts inside the Whitney Institute Gymnasium. Um, that gets underway. I believe it's at 10:30 in the morning. With
Yeah, so the
the
the actually the shuttle cup actually starts at 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Gates open at 9:30. Competition for the karate starts at 10 a.m. They
Mhm.
plan to wrap up at 1:45 p.m. And
Mhm.
then there will be a slight transition. We're going to be having because we have throws and takedowns, we have mats that we put under the puzzle mats so that we
Okay.
can execute our throws and takedowns. So there's a bit of a transition period, and we hope to start at 2:30 p.m.
All right. Well, we look forward to a fun day, a good day, and hopefully, you got a good crowd out, especially family and friends to support not
Yes,
only
and
the
I
youngsters.
yes, and I do know that entry for spectators is $15.
Mhm.
Um, which you can pay cash at the door.
Okay, all right. Well, Garen, I want to thank you very much for joining me this evening and giving
Thank you.
the second half of Sunday's event, so that people get a full measure of what the day entails, for martial arts on Sunday,
Thank
March
you.
26th at the Whitney Institute Gymnasium. So thank you very much, Garen. Enjoy your night.
Thank you, Earl. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.